Salarah Starre is a UK-based advanced law of attraction teacher trainer, coach, public speaker, and leading wellness expert. She will share life-changing wisdom about the law of attraction and how you can use this powerful universal law to build a foundation for bigger and bolder manifesting results. It is time to create the life you deserve, and with Salarah's help, you will.
How to navigate away from the grip of fear and towards the manifestations of our true desires. A big topic this. I am Salarah Starre, your law of attraction coach and spiritual mentor, and I help you master your manifestations and your life. Once again, it is very, very beautiful to be with you. And today we are exploring a topic that is central to the law of attraction, the impact of fear on our ability to manifest. And many of you tuning in will absolutely know that fear is probably one of the worst feelings we can feel when we're trying to manifest something, because as seasoned manifestors or manifestors in the making will know that fear absolutely affects what it is that we send out energetically to the universe, and then in turn what it is that we receive back from the universe. And of course, when we operate from this place of fear, we knowingly or unknowingly in some situations, we can attract circumstances and outcomes that align with those fearful vibrations. Not always, but when we look at life through the lens of fear, we quite often tune into the vibration that we are looking at the world through. So if that is fear, we are then going to notice things in our reality that then magnify our fears in the first place. Because remember, we don't generally tend to look through our eyes of the world the way the world is. We tend to look at the world through the lens of our emotions, our programming, and how we are feeling. Which is great news, right? Because it means that what we're seeing isn't necessarily the truth. It's a fear-based construction, if you like. And another way of putting it, I guess, is our thoughts tend to contort, if you like, various scenarios in our head. So when there is something that we are fearful, when we fear something happening, our mind then goes into very detailed scenarios about outcomes and what could go wrong. And then, of course, these stories that we tell ourselves, of course, they are just stories because we don't actually have any evidence that they're true or real in that moment. They evoke very real emotions within us. And those very real emotions within us then start to make us believe that the thoughts we were thinking were true. And then we get even more emotions that then start to stir as a result of it. And then we start panic manifesting. And panic manifesting is probably one of the worst things that we can do, because we are sending a fear-based energetic signature through all the work that we're doing to bring our manifestation into fruition. So what do we do? First of all, it is really important to recognize that these are just stories that we are making up in our head, and we don't actually have any evidence in those moments that what we are thinking is true. We're projecting our fear into the future and making it up in our head. So it's good to know that, right? Because we can then take a nice deep breath and go, okay, all of this stuff, I'm just now making that up in my head. All of those thoughts that I've just thought, which have triggered these feelings in my body, none of them were true in the first place. So we can go into this kind of reset. And just by knowing that sometimes can be very, very helpful. But of course, we know that as seasoned manifestors, or even manifestors in the making, that we really need to, in that moment, find a way to reset and to self-regulate. Now, we did cover ways to regulate our nervous system in the previous podcast. I say we, I had a very dear friend of mine, Alex, on the show with me. We spoke about how to intercept and how to reset so that we don't continue down the trajectory of our fear, and we can stop, we can bring ourselves back to the truth, and we can then move forward in a calmer way. So we can kind of reset our vibration, if you like. So if you haven't had a chance to listen to that, I highly recommend going back and listening, because this builds beautifully and perfectly on what we are going to be discussing today. So bringing it back to the topic, when we go into those thoughts, if you like, let's just call it a cycle of thoughts, feelings, thoughts, feelings. This cycle of fear-driven creation can unintentionally, of course, bring about the very things that we want to avoid. Because sometimes we take action to try and stop something from happening, but the very action that we are taking is unintentionally creating the outcome that we really, really don't want to experience. Now, this is important because this realization also holds the key to unlocking an absolutely new way of manifesting, which is great, right? So it's like, okay, well, at least now I know what was going on and I can intercept that. And now I can unlock more powerful manifestation from a more empowered place rather than that space of fear. Because remember, if our thoughts can manifest scenarios of fear, then they can also just as easily manifest outcomes of joy and abundance and happiness and all the good stuff. And that's how powerful we are. We have the ability, we're just so used to, or at least I'm speaking for myself, focusing on negative things happening because so many negative things may have happened in the past. And because that's now become habitual, we have to work extra hard to intercept that in order to now create the outcomes that we truly, truly desire and become these conscious manifestors that we want to become. So consider this, based on everything I've said, consider this. Every single story we tell ourselves is a product of our imagination. But of course, the emotions that they generate, yeah, they feel undeniably real, right? Now, these emotions, they shape the vibration that we emit into the universe. And in turn, the universe then responds by matching that vibration and potentially manifesting experiences that match those vibrations. So it's a very, very powerful connection between our inner world and the external reality that we create. Now, one of my favorite manifesting teachers is Andy Dooley. And one of my favorite sayings, you would have heard me say this before, it's feelings first, manifestation second. Feelings first, manifestation second. So it is imperative that we work on our feelings. It's imperative that we know how to flick the switch between fear-based manifestation and fun, loving-based manifestation. How do we flick these switches? When we go into this, of course, we spoke about self-regulation, like I mentioned, go listen to that show, but also just knowing this can be incredibly helpful, right? It's like, you know what, I can say to myself, you know what, I've just made up a complete scenario in my head. None of it is true. Of course, fear stands for false expectations appearing real, but they're not real. And now because of that, I'm now living in a state of fear and anxiety. But like I said, it's a product of our imagination. So what can we do about it? How can we change this? Which is why you're listening to this today, right? How can we shift the cycle in our favor? And how can we move away from fear-based manifestations and towards the manifestations of our true desires? So one of the ways that we can do this quickly, which I think is really important, we don't always have the time to go and do the shadow work or get the journal out, because these things might happen whilst we're driving the car, or we're in the queue at the supermarket. We need something that we can do in real life there and then so that we can flick that switch. Of course, self-regulation, like we mentioned, really helps. So the deep breaths can help to reset the nervous system. But the answer also lies in consciously being aware of the fear-based scenarios you're creating through your imagination and consciously rewriting the internal narratives and visualizing an alternative outcome that is more in harmony with what it is that you want to experience, with your deepest intention. So instead of telling the story in your head, you can then in your mind tell a completely different story, one that you want to experience in detail, and notice how that feels instead. So you can choose differently. You can use the words, I choose to believe, and then finish the sentence X, Y, and Z. I choose to believe that everything is absolutely working out in my favor. I choose to totally trust that the universe has my back on this situation. I choose to believe that the universe is on my side. I choose to believe that I am a powerful manifestor, and I choose to believe that only good will come to me. I am open and receptive to all good. And you can then, in your mind, start to rewire and choose the scenario that you want to experience. And you'll start to notice that you'll start to feel more empowered. So emotions that come with this new envisioned reality, if I can say that word, you start to feel differently. You start to feel a bit more empowered. And as you remind yourself that the story that you tell yourself are creations, they're all imagination. And it's really important to have a very good imagination when it comes to the law of attraction, because the more that you can get into the feelings, the sensations, and activate all of your senses, they can really evoke powerful and beautiful emotions that ripple out to the universe, bringing you matching experiences back. So it's exactly the same as your fear-based manifesting. But this time you're going to focus it on what you want. And you're going to be able to learn how to flick that switch in any situation that you find yourself in. So another really effective technique to facilitate this shift is you can bring in the gratitude, thank you, universe, for, and finish that 10, 20 different ways, focusing on the desire that you want to experience. And also making sure that you bring in gratitude for, thank you, universe, for reminding me to focus on the positive. Thank you, universe, for helping me to flick the switch and for helping me to believe that wonderful outcomes can come from this situation. Thank you, universe, for helping me to expand my consciousness and to visualize amazing outcomes which are beyond my wildest dreams. Thank you, universe, for. Now that's really good too, because thanking the universe as if it has already happened versus asking the universe is showing complete faith in the universe that you completely trust the outcome that you want is and has already manifested in the higher timeline. And it's your job just to step into that as if it has already happened. So take time to express this gratitude for the things that you desire as if they've already manifested in your life. And then you can just visualize yourself in that desired timeline as if it has already happened. Like imagine your best case scenario has already happened. How do you feel? For me, it'd be a sense of relief, a sense of excitement, a sense of being able to breathe out, and a sense of complete and utter gratitude in the universe. Because these intentional acts of creation, they're absolutely going to align your energy with your desires. They're going to bring you closer to your desired manifestation as well. So talking about this, you might start to notice that you're feeling a bit better. It's nice to have these these real tools that you can use in real life situations. But at the same time, it's also important, remember, to release an attachment to an outcome as well, and to surrender that the universe has such an amazing plan for each and every one of us. And to trust that the universe is orchestrating a path beyond what you can currently see, something way more beautiful. And if you're struggling with trusting the universe, you can say, thank you, universe, for helping me to completely and utterly trust that you are orchestrating something beautiful in my life. Thank you, universe, for helping me to surrender this outcome, to know that you have a much bigger and better plan for me. Because embracing this trust is going to allow you to release the fear and anxiety, and to step more into that empowered place, knowing that your desires are being heard and they are in the process of unfolding. And your job now is just to enjoy your life with you, with your family, put some music on, listen to some self-help that is empowering. Because as much as the law of attraction responds to our fears, it also responds to our vibrations of excitement and optimism and positivity and hope. And we can stir those deep emotions in our being as well. And by consciously flicking the switch and cultivating these emotions and intentions, we shape the energy that radiates from within us. Remember, it's from within us. And that guides the manifestations that then unfold in our life as a result of it. So my lovely ones, wherever you are in the world, whatever it is that you are doing right now, I invite you to join me to embark on this journey of intentional manifestation. And let's rewrite our internal narratives and infuse our thoughts with the energy of our desired outcome. And this might take a little bit of practice because you may have got yourself into a little bit of a negative loop. You may find yourself defaulting to fear-based manifestations. Just gently and lovingly remind yourself that it's a made-up scenario in your head. None of it is true in the first place, and you can create outcomes that are much more in alignment with what it is that you want to experience in your mind just as easily, so that we can shift away from this fear-based manifesting and start to realign towards a reality that lights us up and aligns with our truest desires and aspirations. So there we go, my lovely ones. That's your reminder for today. Please share this with anybody who might need to hear this today. I will also ask a special favor if you wouldn't mind rating my podcast. I would really, really appreciate it. It helps me reach more people around the world as well. And let me know if you have any questions. It'd be really lovely to hear from you. In the meantime, sending you lots of love. Thank you for taking the time to tune in, and I will be back with you same time next week. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening. Salarah Starre will be back next week with great insights into the law of attraction. In the meantime, please visit salarahstarre.com.